Pedophile hunters do not violate right to privacy. UK Supreme Court rules as convicts appeal dismissed. The interests of children have priority over any interest a pedophile could have in being allowed to engage in criminal conduct.
Here's a summary of the article.
Pedophile hunters do not violate the right to privacy, the Supreme Court has ruled while dismissing a convict's appeal. Delivering the Supreme Court's ruling on Wednesday, Lord Sales said the appeal had been unanimously dismissed. The group's evidence was relied upon in Sutherland's prosecution, and a trial judge dismissed his attempts to have it ruled inadmissible. Sutherland appealed against his conviction to Scotland's High Court of Justiciary, which granted the appellant permission to appeal to the UK Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that Sutherland had committed criminal offences by sending the messages, and said he also urged the decoy to delete them and then move to encrypted WhatsApp messages. The Supreme Court said the evidence indicated that Sutherland represented a risk to children, and police and prosecutors were duty-bound to act. Last year, 6 members of the Predator Exposure Group were cleared by a jury at Leeds Crown Court of charges including false imprisonment and common assault after prosecutors said they overstepped the mark when they confronted 2 men.
This post received a score of 72,000, with an upvote ratio of 92%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
When it comes to the interests of children, I recommend the documentary Outcry, where an innocent man had his life ruined because of the prosecutor's desire to convict someone.
In the UK there was once a pediatrician who had their house vandalised, as people thought it meant paedophile. Opening square bracket.
I mean, I'm a pretty dumb guy, but goddamn.
Sometimes these pedophile hunters can just be extremely dumb and bigoted. It's not uncommon to find stories of people abusing gay or transgender people billing themselves as being pedophile hunters.
It's almost like vigilantism gives people an excuse to just fuck some people up.
I have an acquaintance who got the shit kicked out of him due to a case of mistaken identity, spent months in rehabilitation and is still scared to leave the house years later. Mistake was that he looked somewhat similar to a recently convicted pedophile. This happened in a public place. My friend was already on crutches at the time from being hit by a car a month earlier. It totally fucked him and he now walks with a limp. He does leave the house these days, but it has definitely taken its toll.
Yeah, I have had some pretty awkward discussions with people on why I don't like these amateur detectives, vigilantes. It is a bit like the death penalty. Yes, there are some people who do such incredible heinous acts you want them to suffer, but if some of the brightest minds in the land are fallible, Kyle and Karen are also going to get their fair share wrong too. Especially if they try to take justice in their own hands.
I have always said, Batman's superpower is he is never wrong. To be fair, most of the criminals of Gotham are pretty upfront about being criminals.
Doesn't take the world's greatest detective to figure if the singing guy in a pig mask, who is chopping up an arm, is guilty of murder.
Careful with that line of reasoning. While I fully agree nonces deserve everything they've got coming to them, this is the same reasoning the US Congress is using to try to completely ban break encryption.
The ruling was made in part on expectation of privacy. Specifically, since a child could tell an adult about online activities, a person doesn't have an expectation of privacy if the child or government official lying about being a child chooses to divulge their communications. In short, just because the government can't spy on you doesn't mean you can do illegal acts with immunity.
It's worth noting that in this case the people pretending to be children were not government officials, but private citizens.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.